Good afternoon.
Welcome to Wait Again Minute. Our topic tonight is Black Lives Matter. Throughout tonight, hopefully we will learn more as to why these issues continue to happen and what we can do to stop it. This issue continues to happen time after time. However, we do believe that this is a call to action season. Our children and family are watching and dependent on us. The time is now, so see y'all at the crossroads, and let's meet up and walk into our newness together. Introduce yourselves, starting with Eric, Reverend, then Mike.
Eric Knight, Suffolk resident. Pretty much been in Suffolk all my life. Also an assistant football coach at Lakeland High School, and it's time for a change.
Robert Wilkins. I'm the pastor of Rather St. James, which is a church here in the city of Suffolk. Been pastoring now for about 15 years, and also an activist for mankind.
I'm Mike Payne, General of the Original Black Panthers of VA, National General under King Rick, and I'm ready to have this conversation.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for coming to Wait Again Minute.
Thank you for having us.
So,
Absolutely.
Mike, can you tell us a little of how you became a Black Panther?
I just saw some things that needed to be done in the community. I saw a void, and I used to, most people know I used to be a music artist. Of course, I still am. I just do different types of music now. But so I had made a song that was called Black on Black that spoke about the police brutality that was going on and things that were going on in the actual Norfolk community. So in that song, it was talking about bringing back an organization that could make change. So I said, well, can I really do that? And I had my light bulb moment, and I put forth the work and submitted my paperwork to start a chapter, and the rest is history.
Okay. So can you tell us a little about the bridge issue I've been hearing about?
The bridge issue, yeah. It's a bridge out in Charlottesville, Virginia. It's about maybe almost 3 hours from here, and it's called, I believe the actual name of the bridge is Lynch River Bridge, and they were calling it, somebody went and spray painted Hang a Nigga Bridge on there, and a bunch of other different things. They had pictures of people hanging on the bridge, and just different sickening racial type portraits that they had put on top and under the bridge. So we decided we wanted to go clean the bridge up. We wanted to get that hate speech and those hateful pictures taken off that bridge, because it is a historical bridge, and they did used to hang our ancestors from that bridge. So we wanted to make sure we erased all of that off of the bridge. So we went down there. We had the bridge guarded up. we had a lot of weaponry. We had to make sure that we were safe. But while we were doing this cleaning project, and some shots went off. We heard some shots. I don't know for sure if they were towards us, if they were warning shots. We had a couple people pull up and rev their engines, and just take off. Different things trying to intimidate us, maybe scare us a little bit. But we held it down. We weren't going to be running away. We weren't going to be denied of getting that hate erased off that bridge, and we completed the task and we got out of there.
So how did y'all react to the shots being fired and the engines railing up and everything? How was y'all approach to that?
As we should. You heard a lot of click, 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 click. We reacted the way we were supposed to. we had lookouts and different things in that area to make sure that we were okay. We did see a family over there swimming in that nasty little creek under the bridge, and they had left their towels and everything. So I was like, that's kind of strange for somebody to just leave abruptly, really quick, and the next thing you know, we seen these big trucks starting to come through, and they would get to the end of the bridge and they'd just rev their engines and pull off and stuff like that, come back, do it again. So we had to make sure that we were standing in the right place, because you know, what they could do is try to run you down with the truck or whatever. So we had some things that could, you know, stop them from doing that. But yeah, so that's how that went. But you know, the cleanup project went well, and we got it out there. Yeah.
So we're talking about Black Lives Matter tonight. So let's hear from Reverend Wilkins. What does Black Lives mean to you?
You know, as you may can't tell about the shirt that I have on tonight. You know, it actually read, I didn't choose to be black. I just got lucky. You know, so this is how I feel. You know, I'm lucky to be black. You know, my thought process is, I woke up this morning and I'm a black man. You know, there's no way that I could escape that. There's no way that I would try to run away from that. You know, actually, the shirt says it all. I'm not lucky, but I'm really blessed to be a black man. I was sitting listening to, you know, to Mike, and I wanted to ask. So we're looking at affirmative action. You know, when we talk about the Black Panthers. As a little boy growing up, I heard so much, you know, about the works of the Black Panthers, and for me to be on this set tonight and sharing this moment, you know, with an original member, and not only that, with someone that is carrying balls, that is sharing weight and doing something in the community, you know, that is actually a plus, you know, for me to be sitting on this panel tonight, in this moment, you know, and even for Eric. But you know, Black Lives Matter to me. I tell you that I'm what the young generation of this culture call I'm woke, and it means everything. Because if my brothers of the same ethnicity that I am, if they are not free and they're suffering, I'm not free, and I'm suffering. You know, consciously, you know, it affects me. It affects me to know that somebody else, you know what I mean, is being mistreated. You know, not only mistreated, but being abused in the worst kind of way. You know, I'm a strong believer. I side with the downtrodden. I side with those who was least likely, because that's how we have been labeled. But the label certainly is not the correct label, you know, because we are powerful people. You know, we are filled with resilience. You know, it's just something unique about us, and like I'm just glad to be a black man. Whether it's in America, whether it's on any continent, I'm glad to be a black man and being a part of what's going on.
Amen. Amen. I like that. Now, Eric, did you want to elaborate on that?
I mean, black is beautiful. Black is powerful. And so to piggyback off of Rev, I mean, it's a blessing to be who I am. This was nothing that I'm ashamed of. I walk out of my house proud and ready for everything that comes my way. And so one thing about being a black person, we are survivors of anything that comes toward us. And so that's nothing that's taught. That's just in our nature as survivors. Yeah. And regardless of what's going on in this day and time frame, we know at the end of the day we're going to always come out victorious and on top. And so Black Lives Matter is important for people to understand that. I mean, we're here. We're not going nowhere. We're not moving. We're not hiding. We're not scared. And so it's time for people to understand who we are. And that's the most important thing for me per se, because again, I can't change this color. I don't want to change this color. I refuse to change this color. And so I'm going to be a black man until I leave this earth, and you're going to know about this black man. So.
All right now. So Mike, you know I was coming to you next. Can you elaborate a little more on Black Lives? What it means to you?
Yeah, Black Lives. Black Lives means everything. We know we are the essence of everything. Mm-hmm. We know that we can create every color, but every color can't create us.
Think so.
Right?
Fact.
So we're the beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even musically, we have created everything. Our inventions. America wouldn't be where it's at today if it wasn't for us.
Nah.
This was built off Granny's back. You know, so Black Lives, you know, we're it. You know, we're everything. We're the most duplicated race around. Everything comes off of us. We just need to really put our strengths together and our money together and capitalize on those things that we create. You know, we come up with so many things. We're so innovative, but we need to put our actual funds behind it so that we can own those industries instead of letting other people own them and we're buying from them. But that's a whole nother story. Black Lives
So
means
true.
everything.
Yes, indeed.
So true.
Absolutely.
So Eric, I understand you did a protest. Do you feel the protest that you've done here, it helped our city any?
I believe it did because I think now people understand that even in Suffolk, like they know that we're around. They know that we have a voice, and people need to understand that our voice needs to be heard. People need to understand that our voice can carry and make change. And so the purpose for this rally, is to, number one, get people to understand that we're no longer going to stand with what's going on, even if it's not happening in our city. And to piggyback off of that, I mean, it has happened. It just hasn't been broadcast.
That's right.
And so a lot of people look at it as, oh, it's just Suffolk. It ain't nothing going on. But people need to know that it is. And the fact that myself and some brothers that I grew up with, we're no longer standing for it. And so the purpose for that rally, I wanted people to understand that City Hall is an important place for us, not only for the people that go in there on a day-to-day basis in different city meetings and things of that nature, but we need to be a part of that. So the location was perfect in my eyes is because a lot of people think that City Hall is a place where you can just go pay your bills and that's just it. And it's more to that. It's a lot of decisions that's being made at City Hall that we don't even know about. And so people needed to understand that City Hall is a place where decisions are made, and we can actually affect these type of decisions because we got to deal with it. They make these decisions and we got to live by it. So why can't I put my voice out there to let people know, like, I don't agree with that. And so I hope and I believe that rally did something great for our city, and it's definitely going to be more. Like we're no longer quiet. So.
Okay. Now I understand you have young kids,
Yes.
boys at that, 2 little ones.
Yes.
What do you tell them, if anything, about what's going on in, now in this world?
My 8-year-old EJ, shout out to EJ. He asks questions, and so it's kind of hard to give him a real answer per se because he's only 8, and so I don't want to get him to the point where he's scared to go outside. And I do explain to him that there are certain things that go on in our city and in our nation that he needs to be aware of. And so it's kind of hard as raising a young boy to understand that a lot of things out there are not given to us.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying that you got to go out there and take it, but it's just you got to understand the nature of what's going on in this nation. And so I tell him to make sure that he's respectful, make sure that he knows what he's doing and he knows right from wrong, and not to get out there and act out of character because he's not raised that way. And so a lot of negativity brings on different situations. And so if you get out there and not bring that negativity towards you, things won't happen. And so he understands to a certain degree. And as he gets older, the conversations will continue as he gets older. But it's just right now, I don't want to put too much on him because he's only 8. And I want him to be able to enjoy his childhood and not be so focused on the nation per se. And I don't go against no other parent that tells their kids what's going on. But as for me, I want my child to be a child.
Right. That's understandable. That's understandable. So, Mike, you have young kids or boys or nephews or anything? What do you explain to them, and do you explain anything to them as far as what's going on in this world right now?
Yeah, I've got a young girl, 2 young girls, but one old enough that I can actually explain things to. You know, she's about to hit 10, but it's tough. You know, it is a tough subject. I don't want to raise her to the point where she hates a certain group of people or anything like that, but I do want to make her aware that there is an oppressive group of people. You know, there is, these things exist. History is what it is, and you know, that's something that needs to be taught, not the sugar-coated version that they teach us in our schools and things like that, but they need to really learn these historical facts. So I go through a lot with her. You know, one good movie to watch, I don't know if you guys seen it, but is The Hate You Give. That's a really good movie to kind of put out a lot of information regarding race and things that happen with police and you know, situations like that. But yeah, so but yeah, I do speak to her. I gotta come over here. Just a tad bit. But so yeah, where were we at?
You know, I guess
It's okay. A little
raising
technical
a child.
difficulties. It's okay.
It's all good. Yeah, but as far as talking to her, I teach her a lot of things. One is self-defense, and being that I have a young queen, I like to teach her the self-defense aspect, because women, I believe, all should know that. Yeah. You know, domestic violence is at an all-time high. You know, we have our kids that were getting snatched up by vans and different things of that nature. We had to patrol on that situation as well. Yeah. But you know, right now she had 12 medals in jiu-jitsu. You know, I make sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I put the headgear on her, and you know, I tie her up a little bit. You know, I let her know, you know, so she can be prepared. But we do it in a fun way. I'm just now introducing weapons to her and things like that. I do that because at the end of the day, you know, we do it as sport. You know, we do it as sport. But at the end of the day, I want her to not see a weapon and have to say, let me run away from it, but know how to take it apart and keep it safe. You know, just as I would teach her how to change the tire on a car, or teach her how to, you know, go inside there and change the fluid in your car, stuff that men need to teach their daughters so they don't have to depend on no other men, you know, to show her those things. You know, she wouldn't have to look for anything. As long as I'm here, I'm gonna be able to show her those things. One thing with me is, you know, when I leave to do certain assignments and certain things, you have no idea, I have no idea if I'm coming back home. So these are things I have to be mindful of.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
it's not a guarantee I'm coming home. So I try to teach her as much as I can, as fast as I can, without overstepping that time period of when I need to teach her. I mean, we have to look now. We see the Caucasian folks out here, they constantly teach their kids to hunt, right? I mean, we see that all the time.
Right.
They're constantly teaching their kids to hunt, to shoot rifles, to do all these different things. Yeah. So why should our kids not know how to hunt and not know how to feed themselves off the land and these different things?
Right.
Yeah, I see your face when you say you're playing with guns. Well, I mean, you know, what happens if you can't go to Kroger? What happens if you can't go to Food Line? We almost had it happen recently, right?
Right.
So if that's the case, then you know, she won't starve. You see what I'm saying? Right. She won't starve. We won't starve. If something happens to me, she can feed herself. And these are things our children need to know. Whether we look at it kind of funny or not, we gotta have it. So.
Okay. So we have a whole lot of questions here waiting. So I'm gonna be shooting some questions at y'all from our viewers. So we have one that says, "What do they think about the saying all lives matter or blue lives matter? Is that an issue with what people reference that, you know, blue lives matter, talking about police, and black lives, all lives matter as far as all kinds of races?" Reverend, we can start with you.
Yeah.
You know, it is so, I feel like that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I'm still drooling off the fact of what General Pence was talking about in the raising of the daughter, you know. But yes, you know, even though Black Lives Matter, yes, Blue Lives Matter, when they carry themselves the way that they're supposed to be, and they're holding the law and they're operating within their jurisdiction, their boundary, yes, Blue Lives Matter. You know what I mean? All lives matter. Yes, all lives do matter. But we're saying in this moment in time, in history, echoing from the beginning of time, that Black lives matter. You know, we're not, you know, pushing everybody else to the side, but at the moment, not just nationally, but internationally, you know what I mean? Everybody is streaming and is echoing across our world that Black lives matter. For so long, we've been pushed to the side. So long, we've been walked over top of. Listen, us as a people, as a Black people, we're the most forgiving persons that could ever been created. You know what I mean? So I know that we've been created like our Creator. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we are passive. And that moment has far passed. You know, it's almost like the saying, you know, don't take my kindness as a weakness. And as a Black human race, this is how we've been consumed. You know, and what we're saying now, we're regurgitating some stuff. You know what I mean? We're sick and we're throwing up some stuff. You know what I mean? And it is not so much to say that other lives doesn't matter, but everybody else is saying now, you know what I mean, that Black lives matter. At one time, we thought that we were not favored, or we were not everybody's favorite, but now we are seeing, you know what I mean, not just in America, you know what I mean, but internationally, because there are Blacks all over the world, you know what I mean, and it's crazy. Not just the African American, but the Asiatic Black man, everybody, you know what I mean, it's making some type of noise somewhere to say that, you know what, enough is enough. We're not pushing white lies to the side. We're not pushing the red lies to the side. We're not pushing brown lies to the side. But only thing we're doing now, because the tipping point has come, we're maximizing the Black life.
Okay, I like that. I like how you said that. So we have one question. It says, how does it feel when some Black people are not about the cause of Black Lives Matter? What do you say to them? Eric, let's get you to answer that question.
Honestly, people are going to be, they're going to feel the way they feel. And so when it gets to that point where they're not for the cause, me personally, I just move on. Because at the end of the day, people are going to feel the way they feel. They're not, some are not going to change. And they'll come out and say, well, y'all just using it as a crutch. No, we're not doing that. But we need people to understand that we're tired of what's been going on. And so if this is not what you believe in, that's fine. I'm just going to move on. I'm not going to try to force you to believe what we believe in. I'm not going to force you to join in my cause. If that's something that you don't feel good about or feel like doing, that's totally fine, because there's other issues that need to be taken care of than me worrying about if you are not for the cause. If you're not for it, then you're just not for it. And I'm moving on. I don't have that much time to deal with you, because it's more important things that we need to take care of than me focusing on that person that's just not for the cause.
All
It's
right.
crazy, Eric, because crap don't stink until you step in it, or it's until it's in front of your door, in your own front door. You know what I mean?
Explain that for me.
Yeah. When I say that crap doesn't stink, you know what I mean? Sugar, honey, ice tea doesn't stink until you step in it. You know what I mean? For those who are not for the cause, or say that, you know, they feel some way different, you know, until it show up at their front door, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect them. You know what I mean? When their pockets are rolling green and it's deep and somebody else is greasing it, it doesn't affect them. You know what I mean? But when it show up at their front door, or when they step in it, or when it happens to them, you know what I mean? It stinks then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It affects them then. You know, that's what I mean by crap showing up at your front door.
Okay, okay. So we have a good question. This young lady says, I saw on a post that BLM, Black Lives Matter, is a hate group. How would you respond to that assumption? I know what Black Lives stand for, but some people just don't get it. Can you elaborate on that for me, Mike?
Well, it's not my group, so I don't believe they are. But to go off of what Pastor said a minute ago, with Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter and things like that he was speaking of. This is the thing. I heard a good analogy one time, and it said if we all are sitting at a dinner table and we all have plates of food, but this brother right here is the only one with nothing on his plate, then at that time his plate matters, right? Not the rest of the plates, because they got food, right? Everybody else is ready to eat. He's the only one that can't eat. So that's one way of looking at it, to explain it to those who just don't get it. When they said Black Lives Matter, they didn't mean that others didn't. You know, that's something that people just came up with. Something that people just said, well, so that means just that. Yeah, it's an assumption that they just threw in there. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of crazy that people even would have to do that. But you know, I'm sorry, but the other question is what it was on my mind.
It was just basically saying that it's a hate group. Some don't understand what the Black Lives Matter really stand for.
Yeah, I mean, who have they hated? I mean, where's the history of hate? Right. We know where the history of hate lies.
That's right.
You can go back as far as you want to go, and you can see where the history of hate lies. If you see where we've sailed, if you see where we've lived all across the globe, and we see where others have lived, they've conquered and taken it from some other black indigenous people. So I don't know who they've hated. I haven't seen them out doing spewing racial rhetoric or anything of that nature. I haven't seen that. You know, maybe somebody could find that one person in a group that yelled out something crazy and say, "Oh, they're hateful, this, that, and the other." You know, yeah, I'm sure you could, but as a whole, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think what the problem is with that is just like you have some people that are out there that have a different vendetta than what the Black Lives Matter movement is there for. Because if you notice, when we're out here, or when Black Lives Matter movement is out there, it's about a cause, it's about a situation that's taking place to our black people that we want to make y'all aware of, that we're tired of it. And we got people that are out there that wants to loot, break up things. Okay, all right, we know that that's not what they're for. But you have some people that see that and will say, well, it's part of the Black Lives Matter movement. Look at them, they're doing this and they're doing that. And they're protesting about maybe 5-6 blocks away that has nothing to do with what's been going on. And so when people see the violence or the looting or the burning of buildings, they'll quickly take that and say, oh, because they're black, it's about the Black Lives Matter movement. And they're not going to change that narrative. That's just what they see. So
okay.
And also to even piggyback off of what he's saying, you know, I think one problem or issue is letting whites control those protests. You know, I mean, not that they let them, but the fact that they can go out there with their signs, the fact that they can go out there with those signs, put Black Lives Matter up and say this is a Black Lives Matter event when it probably clearly isn't.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And the fact that they can represent that and go out and do these different things and then just blame it, you know, then the blame is already on Black Lives Matter for whatever, because, oh, they got the t-shirts, they got the signs, whatever. That's a problem. You know, that's a problem. And when you see even black people following behind a group of white people and they out doing whatever, that's one thing we have to fix. We can't have other people speaking our narrative. You know, we have to be able to speak our own stories. We have to be able to tell our own. I mean, this has been killing us through the music industry. It's been killing us in the movie department and things of that nature. So we need to be able to speak up for ourselves and not let anybody else tell our stories.
Okay. So we have someone who says, I love what they are saying, but ask them if they know black means Negro.
Black means nigga.
I mean, it is the color on your crayon, but I mean, there's a difference between Negro and nigger. Negro is just the origin of black. Nigger is someone that's ignorant. So if you can't tell the difference and it's in black and white in your dictionary, then I don't understand what your confusion is. I mean, it's another word for black, Negro. Nigger.
Yes.
Nigger.
Yes.
Nigga.
Yes.
Is
totally different.
totally different.
Then you have niggas.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
So
is an African term You have, that's an actual African term, and it's not, it's nothing derogatory about it.
Exactly.
We can't really blame. It's almost like, do you blame the gun for killing somebody, or do you blame the person? What those people have turned that word into, that is the problem.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm sitting on about to burst, but when you're talking about nigger and the Negro, when you speak about that, I quickly allude in my mind to a moment where Martin King was talking. Dr. Martin Luther King was talking at one of his lectures and speeches during the night, and how our counterpart labored the black being negative and black being evil, but white, it means pure and everything's good, and and I echo his sentiments of black is beautiful, black is bold, it's proud, so it's crazy, being able to, I guess, carry those labels such as that. But once again, I'm proud to be a Negro. I'm proud to be a black man, African American at this point. It is so much. It is so much that that we could really elaborate on. I'm sitting here thinking in myself. General Pence, he's the affirmative action man, and I'm sitting over here, wondering, should I be up under his leadership right at this moment, because, I'm about to explode with so many thoughts, and he's sitting, he's talking, and he's very reserved, and I'm wondering, should we switch titles tonight? You know what I mean? And he be the reverend, and I just be the general, because in my mind, I'm militantly thinking. Because I've been brought up in a culture of Jim Crow. I wasn't born in the 50s or the 60s. I'm a 70s boy. You know what I mean? But I come up in the new Jim Crow. You know what I mean? And the new Jim Crow is that of the incarceration era. You know what I mean? And one have to be able to understand about where Jim Crow comes from, and how the narrative was shared, you know what I mean? How we would not trust one another, you know what I mean? And how we would turn on one another, you know what I mean? And how the system, you know what I mean, was put into place. And what this system is, you know what I mean, is still systemic racism. How it put in place for a black man to not be able to have a job, coming straight from out of slavery, you know what I mean, leaving from out of the field, couldn't get a job, so we'll give him a job by creating institutions, putting him into institutions, letting him work just so he could eat. Well, I come up in that era because for us, the majority of us as black men, you know what I mean, in the 2000s, 20s, and all the way back to the early 1980s, 85 probably, when we was put in incarceration in prison. When you're working in prison, this institution that has been that's been created, a black man has to work for 14 cents an hour. 14 cents an hour. That's crazy. So this is how I feel at the moment.
Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
That was very powerful. So we have a question for Mr. Mike over here. Is the Black Panther organization as big and affluent as it was in the 70s? Has anything changed in the handling of issues brought to them?
I wouldn't say it's as big as it was in the 70s because us as a people have changed. The 60s, of course, with the Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, little Bobby Hutton, and all that, it was swarming across the nation. It was all over. It went overseas. It was massive. We were so proud to be black then. With the natural hair and the medallions came after. The different things. We were just really into we was black. We was black. So. It's just a different mindset that our people have gotten into. We forgot about the village. We don't take care of each other the way, my mom even talks about how you used to see the neighbor's kid acting up. You'd tell, you'd put him in your house, get him straight, then you tell his mama, the mama pop him good, then to wait for the daddy to get home, then the daddy pop him again. You know, get him right. You get 3 whoopings before for the one situation. You know, that's it. Now you get charged for one crime and they put 3 felonies on you. You know what I'm saying? So you can't do nothing for the rest of the time. So you know, we forgot about the village. But to answer your question, I would say, and also to piggyback with what they were saying, we've split the agenda. I think it was a queen that asked the question earlier, right? Am I correct? It was a queen that asked the question earlier about the last question the brother had answered. With that too, you know, asking the questions about the black, Negro, this, that, and the other. Same thing with religion. What we tend to do is we argue about things that don't have nothing to really do with the actual black agenda. You know, we argue about the terms, who God is, was he this, was he that, was he here, was he there? Look, right now, we need to worry about us. We split off into so many different factions of things that just don't matter. We've gotten into movements that don't pertain to us. Even when they had the the feminist movement, you know, that wasn't for us. You know, we didn't have them issues. We didn't have them problems. So once they switched over and we lose half our people to that, once we lose our people to go off to fight for the LGBTQ rights and different things like that, we're constantly, you know, dividing ourselves from the main issue. So yeah, but to answer your question, no, I don't think it's as big, but yeah, it's big right now still, but not as big.
Okay. Now I remember those days of being punished from every person in the neighborhood. I remember those days.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have a question for this is for all, but Eric, I would like for you to answer it. Should companies have an issue with their employees wearing anything that reference Black Lives Matter? If they do have an issue, is that automatically negative or saying that they are against the movement?
Well, I will say this. If the company or your employer has a particular dress code that's already been set prior to what's been going on, I can understand if they don't want you wearing certain things. On the flip side, if that same company is exercising their right to show their agreement or their commitment to breast cancer awareness, where everyone's wearing pink, or just like my man over here was saying about the gay rights, the LGBTQ community, if they have different things going on with that, I don't see why that's a problem. But again, if the dress code is strict, don't put yourself in a position where it's going to affect your money. I know for a fact I'm about Black Lives Matter, but I know I can't go in my job and express that, not to say that I'm not who I am, but I still got to work. And so if they have a very strict dress code, or if you wear uniforms at your job, then that's what you got to do. That doesn't change who you are when you clock out. So I don't have an issue with it, but again, if the dress code is relaxed and again they're celebrating different things that's going on in our nation, I don't see why it would be a problem if someone had a Black Lives Matter pin, or with the mask, if the I can't breathe mask. I don't see why it should be a problem. Some people may feel differently, but if the dress code is not as strict at your job, then I don't see a problem.
Reverend, it look like you want to say something about that.
You know, I'm just aggressive in my thought process. You know, if there is a Trump supporter, you best believe he's gonna wear his red hat, make America great again. Mm-hmm. You know what I found out, you know what I mean, about dress codes and things of that nature. When it comes to us, our skin tone is powerful.
Come on, man.
Our skin tone has become a weapon. And we asked the question for years, you know, what have I done to deserve this? You just woke up and you were black. So I come to find out that my skin tone, whether I wear a shirt, hat, whatever the paraphernalia may be, just me showing up at work, I'm a threat.
And that's so true. That is so true. So what are the local pastors here in Suffolk doing to help outside of the church, Pastor? Reverend?
That's a great question. You know, because I don't know what we are doing. And the reason why I answer like that is because if as a pastor, most pastors have the character of spearheading. You know, we have identity crisis moments where we can't share. If we are not spearheading it, you know, if I didn't come up with the idea, you know, and I don't think I can make it. So at this moment, I don't know what we are doing collectively, but I know individual wise, as far as in different congregations and different gatherings, you know, I'm pretty sure that every leader is vocal. You know what I mean? Because we are not colorblind.
Okay. Now, I have a few that's kind of going on the questions. They're actually going back and forth about the word Negro. So, can any one of you elaborate more? Because someone's saying, oh, so you don't mind being called the N-word. Then we have some saying, well, it's the Spanish word for the color black. Then we have some that's saying it's, you know, a little offensive. So can any one of you elaborate on that? The N-word.
Yeah, you know, like I said, correct as far as it is a Spanish word, you know, for a color. But the whole thing with don't call me nothing with no N-word. Don't call me no Negro. Don't call me a nigga or a nigger. Don't call me any of that. None of that. I'm a king and that's it. You know,
Amen.
You can call me by my name. You can call me a king. You can call me a black man. And black is also something that was given to us. We weren't really, you know, we weren't considered black because we were the world. You know what I'm saying? That's it. We was it. You know, so it was we had to be called black because, you know, that's something Caucasians called us, was, you know, black or whatever they decided to call us as far as giving us a color.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, yeah, you know, I don't mind, you know, being identified as a black man. I am a man of color. I am a dark skin. Well, I'm not dark skin, but you know, I'm in there. I'm in that rainbow of blackness, you know, and yeah, I don't, you know, as long as you ain't hit me with none of that N-word, I don't allow people to call me any of that. I don't use the N-word myself in conversation. I've been talking to a lot of brothers even about that. You know, I talk to the kids about it in the community as well. So it's not something that I'm accustomed to being called or using.
Okay, so Eric, you look like you want to say something.
I mean,
Do you think it depends on how you use it?
I'm not gonna lie. I've said it. The guys that I've hung out with said it, and it didn't really hit me that it's actually wrong for even our own to say it, because it's easy for us to get mad if someone else calls us that, but it's cool for us to do it. I mean, it's in our music. I mean, it's in our neighborhood. It's in our culture, and some people will look at it as, well, we turned the negative into a positive. Well, I mean, but our ancestors never turned that into a positive because that word was full of hatred, and so I'm guilty of it, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm guilty of it. And now that what's been going on, and I got my two boys, I gotta change that. And
Amen.
so now that the guys that I'm still hanging out with, I mean, we've changed our language. It's either bro, a king, big homie, or whatever. But it's no need to get mad if another race calls us that, and then our own race says the same thing, and we cool with it. We gotta change our mindset on that aspect. And so I know I've changed my vocabulary. I don't use it, and even with the music that I listen to, if it's on blast, I just don't say it, because again, we can't change people from saying what they want to say. But as far as the group that I'm in, we make sure that we change that vocabulary.
Okay, Reverend, it look like you want to say something too about it.
You know, I do agree with what the two brothers have said. I do agree with what the two brothers have said, but at the same time, to add to that, changing our mentality changing our vocabulary. I tell you, when anger and frustration hits you, it's something that is so deeply embedded, you know what I mean, within the human DNA that it comes out of, and it needs to be eradicated. It needs to be pulled up from deep within, you know. Consciously, yeah, you know, we won't do it, but, you know, the subconscious, when something kicks in, you know, it'll come out in a derogatory way, you know what I mean? Even part of our culture and our vernacular is being used. So I agree, you know what I mean, with what the brother said. I think we should be called king. I think we should be recognized as a brother, you know what I mean? Because we, you know, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, you know. So that, you know, that's how I feel about that moment.
Okay.
And also, now, with this said, even if black people are using that word, they still better not use it. You know what I'm saying? Even if, and that's how I feel. And I feel that way because, you know, if it's my brother or something like that, and I say something bad about you, whatever it is,
right.
I say something bad about you, you know how I mean it. You know, if you my brother or my sister, my mother, if I say something about my mother, that don't mean I know how my intent behind it is what I'm, you know, saying it's anger or whatever.
Right.
Their intent, I have no clue. Their intent
Right.
can mean I really want you to hang from that tree. I really want you to, you know, go through seasoning and these that type of things that we went through. It's a different type of meaning. They better not ever. But as far as us, yeah, I still do think we should take it out of our vocabulary. You know, because it's already degrading us. We start off losing.
We can't be double standard with it.
Right.
We can't accept change if we can't change.
Right.
Right. I know we can go on and on and on about that word, but we're going to go ahead and move on to our next question. How can we change the narrative surrounding the injustice? Any one of you can answer.
It's policies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What part of injustice?
There's
a lot of
all of
it.
That's a big question.
It's policy. You know, we have to, in order to change policy, we got to know policy. And to know policy is to understand policy. So we have to be able to get policy in front of us. You know what I mean? We have to be able to interpret the policy the way that the policy was written, but at the same time, you know what I mean, having a sense of understanding of what's not written, because it's not majority of what's in black and white. It's what's between the line that is not there. So there are so many loopholes when it comes to policy. So we advocate voting. You know what I mean? So we can do something with the legislation. You know what I mean? But even doing something with the legislation, we got to make sure that the right person with the right, not just mindset, but they also got to be able to have some of the same struggles and the same convictions that we have in order to, you know what I mean, make sure that those policies are followed through. You know, I believe that we have one of the greatest, you know what I mean, nations because of the way that our judicial system works, you know what I mean, our executive branch works, you know, just the way that those three things work, you know what I mean, and how our legislative branch works. When those things are functioning right, you know what I mean, we can do a whole lot. We can do a great deal.
That's so true. So what is the next move for us as black people? Mike, can you answer that for me?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Because as far as, what was that other question you just asked? Hold on.
How can we change the issues of the injustice going on?
Yeah, well, the thing with that is it's never worked for us. You know, it hasn't worked for us. We're not written into the Constitution like that. We're not written into the amendments like that. Yeah, you can read through them. It wasn't meant for us. You know, we were property at the time. We were cattle. You know, that's not meant for us. We weren't even people. So in their eyes. So with those things, we have to be real careful. Like voting, I would never be irresponsible enough to just say, hey, don't vote. But you're looking at left wing, right? You're looking at the left wing, you're looking at the right wing, but it's the same bird. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got the left wing, you got the right wing, but you got the same bird.
Crazy.
So when has voting really changed anything for us? Martin Luther King said himself, he thought he was leading us into a burning house. You know, When you have that, right, left wing, right wing, same bird. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever you decide to vote for, they lie to you and do nothing for you. You know, until we decide to come together and start our own political party and our own political agenda, we will get nothing. I mean, you might get gas prices to go up every blue moon, or you might get employment to go up or something like that. But that's gonna be about it. You know, it's nothing gonna change really for us. I'm sorry. What was the other question?
We gonna hold on that one. I see you talking about the voting and everything, and I see Reverend over here cringing. Can we get you to talk about it?
You know, because I totally agree. You know, with the general, I totally agree that it doesn't work for us. But what does work, you know what I mean, is the judicial system, is the executive branch, it is also the legislative. I say this, the reason why it works, it's working for them. I agree that we were looked at as property because I believe in the we're just looked at as 3/5 of a human being. So that's policy. That need to be looked at, that need to be changed, because I'm more than 3/5 of a person. I'm a whole man. You know, so when I say that it works, it's working for them. But what works for them, you know what I mean, doing the shifting and not looking at it from a political perspective, because that's what has our country and as a people that have us under the gun, so to speak, you know. But I say that if it works for them, you know what I mean, in the right hand and the right mindset, it'll work for us.
Okay.
I want to make sure that, you know, because I feel you. And that's a good thing, because left wing, right wing, you're right, it is the same bird.
I like that analogy, how he did that. That was nice. So, of course, we're coming to an end. I know we hate to see it end. Viewers, please share our live on Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube. Let's see. We have one last question. Well, probably maybe two, before we actually wrap it up. All right, so we can't get to all the questions tonight. So those who have questions, I do apologize that we didn't get to all of them. So what is one thing you would change, if anything, to make it better for us, especially for our men? And I want everybody to answer that question as our closing. We can start off with Mike, Eric, and then Reverend.
You said make what better for our men?
Especially for our men. What is it one thing that you would change, if anything, to make things better?
Yeah, that's a whole list. You know, one.
That just gives one thing.
Yeah.
One thing you would change. Be thinking over there.
I mean, I would start with self mindset of each other, and that we take care of each other, and each one teach one. Mm-hmm. I think once you implement that, and once we stop minding our own business, and we actually start talking to our brothers and sisters and not being scared to go up and say, hey brother, this is the better way to do things. Once we start listening to our elders and stop splitting between the old and the young and the things of that nature, that knowledge can come. I think we really have to get back to just being with ourselves, listening to ourselves, and not just going off doing our independent thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Eric?
I'm so stuck on this word unity. If we can all just come together and not be divided amongst ourselves. We're already fighting a battle with other races and other situations. We shouldn't be fighting ourselves. Like we need to get out of that and bring more unity as far as brothers and sisters of this culture. We're already powerful. And if we can just come together in unity, we can take this world by storm, and they won't be ready for it. Mm-hmm. So that's my thing. If we can bring unity amongst ourselves, I think that'll play a part.
Okay, Reverend.
Wow, that is a major question.
Yeah.
So simple, but yet so hard. I would have to piggyback off of what the two brothers have said. It would have to be that of unity, but at the same time, accepting diversity, mm-hmm. knowing that someone else may not be like me, like-minded, you know, but being able to embrace, you know, that person or that group of people, and to say that, you know, it's cool. You know, so I believe if we can come together in that spirit of unity, but at the same time accepting one another, and being diverse.
Okay. What they're saying is time flies when you're having fun. That is our time. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully this episode raised something in you to have you thinking, what can we do to help out with the cause? No matter the differences, we all want to be treated equally. Thank you again, and join us every Thursday at 7 at Wait a Minute. Good night.
Good night.